how would you like to make your first million? And today you are for a treat because we have a very special guest. His name is Ken Goodrich. Look, even in the surname, Rich, right? So, and he is an entrepreneur and most recently launched his newest endeavor, Kenerator. Oh, I love it because you have your name that can increase your personal brand. Whole
Uh-huh.
home generators earlier this year to improve upon the many shortfalls in the industry. Ken Goodrich has been in a home services industry at the age of 10. Wow, very early, when he held a flashlight for his father while repairing air conditioning units. Over the 30 years, he acquired and expanded dozens of home services business, including Goed air conditioning, plumbing, yes, air conditioning and plumbing, and American Residential Services ARS, generating hundreds of millions in hours saved for each. So, Ken, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend to the entrepreneurs out there in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Well, thanks for having me, Harry, and I'm happy to share my journey with your listeners. And a lot of this stuff I'm going to tell you, I learned the hard way by making the mistakes first and had to backtrack and do it. So please, listeners, don't do what I did. Do what I say, and save yourself 10 years off of your business journey. And there's a lot of struggle. So number one, you got to have a plan. You have to have some sort of plan in your business, some sort of guiding light. And it doesn't have to be a detailed, elaborate plan. Your plan can even, be focused on this is the product or service that we're going to be in. And, over the first 5 years, here's what my revenue goals are going to be and my profit goals. You make some original assumptions about what you're going to build. Because at this point, most people go into business because they have a skill. They have a trade, they have a skill, they have a product they want to sell. But what they don't realize is that skill is not the business. The skill is only one part of the business. That's what you deliver to the customer. But running a business enterprise is a system, and you have to get out and build the system first. So just because you know air conditioning, just because I was a kid who learned air conditioning from my dad, did not qualify me to be an air conditioning business owner. It just qualified me to be an air conditioning technician. And I learned that the hard way, but I did persevere and I came through it, and I've had some incredible results because of it. So, number one is create a plan, and the plan should serve your primary aim in life. So, let's assume we all get into business to have financial gain, to make money. So, what I want you to think about is, what is this money for? What is your life going to look like in 30, 40, 50 years? And how will this business fund that? And to make sure you're in the right business and headed the right direction with it, it answers a lot of questions. If you understand, I'm building this business to get me this from here in life, to get me this much closer to my ultimate primary aim. And the best way to get your primary aim is sit down and write your own epitaph, your own, what they're going to say about you in your funeral. You write that down and start building your primary aim from that direction, and then work backwards to create your plan and say, how is this business going to aid my life and my primary aim? Number one. Number two, you have to get educated on the business of your business. Like I said
Wow,
earlier,
that's amazing.
where most people, like I said, they have a trade. Ken was an air conditioning technician, and he was going to go do air conditioning, but that had nothing to do with the business of air conditioning. I mean, when I first started, I didn't know how to charge. I didn't know how to price my services. And I would go ask the guy that I bought parts from, what should I charge for this part? Probably the least sophisticated guy I could have talked to. I'm asking him to give me advice on what I should be charging, and it was a disaster. So, get educated on your business and find a source. Now, in the trades businesses, home services in the States, we're lucky that we have what they call best practice groups. And you can join a group, and they will give you all the fundamental processes you need to implement in your business to create a business system. They will also teach you the numbers of the business. They will teach you how to market. They will teach you how to sell. They will teach you how to manage employees, everything that you don't know because you're starting off as a tradesperson or you have a skill or you have a product you want to sell. So the best part in the States in the home services business is you can join a group, and if you apply yourself, you can build your business system before you ever start. I have hundreds of young guys come to me every year and say, "Hey, Ken," it's always the same thing. "Hey, Ken, I just gave my 2 weeks notice. I've watched all your podcasts. I've watched all your YouTubes. I feel like you've really helped me a lot. And I'm going to start my business in 2 weeks. I just bought a van. Can you give me some advice to get started?" And I'd say, go back to your boss, beg for your job back, call this guy who has a best practice group, join his group, and take all the courses, build your business system, build your operations manual, build your scripts for the phone, build your marketing plan, build all this stuff.
Get ready for battle, right? Get ready for battle.
Yeah, you're ready for battle. And, some do, some don't. The ones who take my advice, every one of the guys who've taken my advice and gone to this method does at least $1 million their first year in business. The guys who don't, the failure rate is dismal. So get educated on the business. By the way, on that point, most industries have either manufacturers or trade associations that aren't necessarily these best practice groups where you kind of get a more well-rounded business education, but at least it's something to start with. So go get educated on the business of your business, how to do the math, what's the chart of accounts for your accounting system, all that kind of stuff so you can manage. Get a management system in place. So number 2, get educated on the business of your business. Number 3, go find a mentor. Go find a mentor. Now, when I was a younger guy, I learned that older guys liked to share their knowledge. They like it. It actually makes them feel good. So, and then now that I've got a little gray and I'm in that older generation,
and I'm getting bold.
I like it too. I like helping younger people get started in business and sharing my knowledge and more importantly, not letting them walk off the end of a cliff, but with a bad decision. Mm-hmm. So go find a mentor, go find some person. It can be a woman as well, but just go find somebody that's been in business, been around, take them to lunch regularly. They love to share their knowledge. Just say, "Hey, would you mind spending a little time with me?" I never asked. To me, I never asked if they would be my mentor or anything like that. I just kept showing up. And what I noticed is they would always be happier when I showed up than they were before I showed up because it was always a fun, interesting conversation. So go find a mentor to help you. The next step, so now you got your plan. You got educated on the business of the business. You got yourself a mentor that can kind of keep you from walking off the end of a cliff. Start to build your system. And your system is going to be, an operations manual or either operations manual that employees can refer to and learn, or you can use to train with, or you can keep it and where you can keep everyone on the path. Now there's a lot of new tech out there for this very process. They're called LMSs, learning management systems. And so, what I would do, I'd get in, like if you're in the States and you wanted to go to open an air conditioning company, I'd go in an air conditioning best practice group. I would get all of their material. I would sort it out with my team and we would figure out what we want to implement first. And then I would load it into the LMS and let it create training, a training on every process that you are creating. So as you continue to grow, now you have a nice, clean, easy system. This is how everything works here. By the way, when I was in business, when I first started business, I made some mistakes, probably like everybody else, but I made some severe mistakes and almost lost it. And so I'll 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 tell the story another day, but in one afternoon, I went from 30 employees to two,
Wow.
and I had to start over with two guys. And so, and me going back out in the field and me making the sales and me kind of managing the day to day and all that stuff. And during that time, I found this book. It's called The E Myth by Michael
Mhm.
E. Gerber, The E Myth. And I read that book and I couldn't put it down because this guy, I was like, how did this guy know every stupid thing that I did? How did he know that I did all this stuff? Was he hiding in the
Does he
bushes or
know me?
something? And so I took that book and I literally kept it in my back pocket for 3 years. And I had a problem. And by the way, this was before the internet. I didn't have
Mhm.
access
Mhm.
to all this stuff. As a matter of fact, I do some presentations sometimes with the young people, young guys in my space, and I go, look, nobody here has any excuse not to be successful.
Mhm.
With the information and technology there is out there available, you have no excuse. I literally had to build what I built with sticks and rocks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, um, you get access to the system, you build the system, and now you're ready to go. You have the machine built, and then you put your team in place, and then you turn it on, and you generate your gasoline is your lead flow. Now, the final thing is this is a very important thing, and I'm doing a very big webinar for probably 10,000 people tomorrow um, in a group called Home Service Freedom. And this on this very topic. You have to know the math of the business. You have to know the math of the business. Now, let me back up and say this. You might not be good at math. You might not be interested in math. There's got to be some, all this stuff I'm talking about. I got to the place where I created a team that would do everything that I just described for me. I would lead the team, but they did all this stuff. They did all the busy work and they got it. And I approved everything. When I was in the middle of it, don't get me wrong, but I have a team. I have built and sold 6 companies and to private equity in my career. I'm working on my seventh now. And after I got through and I had fixed my first company, I kind of became a turnaround artist because I had fixed my own with this system, and I went out and just started to apply the system to broken companies that I would buy for pennies on the dollar. And then I created a team that would just go do that with me. And that became my business. I became a business builder. I happened to sell air conditioning and plumbing. Those
And then,
businesses did, but then I began to build the businesses to sell them, which is a lot more profitable than selling an air conditioner.
absolutely.
And then let me tell you, so let's go back to the math of the business. And when I talk about the math of the business, you have to understand, you know, the key terminology of business: revenues, gross profit, gross margin. There's difference: gross profit, gross margin. What is overhead? What's a net profit? What's a net profit margin? What's net profit before tax? What's net profit after tax? What's EBITDA? What's depreciation mean? You have to understand some of this stuff to be able to lead the business. Because if you're not, and I just had a conversation today on my walk with a young guy that was struggling in San Antonio, Texas. And so I was asking him some key questions about his business, and he didn't know. And I said, listen, I told him these 5 steps actually, but I said, listen, right now you're flying a jet airplane with no blind. You're flying it with no instruments. You barely know how fast you're going. You don't know how high you are. You don't know what your fuel is. I mean, a business is no different. You have to have a dashboard and you have to understand how that business works and how is the cause of the effect of each decision that makes, or each situation, customer decision or customer presentation makes. You have to understand the math behind it. What levers do you pull when this happens? What levers do you pull when this happens? Now, the best practice groups, mentors can help you learn that. But I do not recommend that you go out and hang your shingle and start in business until you understand the math and that you keep score. I can't tell you. I'll tell you what, when I was struggling, the main reason that I got in trouble when I first started was I didn't know the math of the business and I didn't know accounting. I just thought we're just going to sell as much as we can and it's going to work out. Well, no, it never
And
works
if
out.
there is any money left, I'm good. Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I would say, well, people would tell me, Harry, look at the account, and I'm like, well, everything is paid off, and I still have money in the bank account. I'm fine. That's what I was. Ridiculous.
That's what happened. That's exactly what I did. And I think that's what everybody does. They look in their bank account and they say, well, I must be making money. Well, more than likely you're not. And I always say this, how many times in your life have you not paid attention to your personal bank account? And then you looked at it. Let's say you didn't pay attention maybe for 3 months, and then you looked at it and you had more money than you thought you did. Never. You always have less because you can't remember all that stuff. So the math of the business is extremely important. And we've gotten to the point now in the businesses that we build, we literally do a profit and loss statement every day.
Wow.
Every single day. And it's an abbreviated one, but at least we are we on track for plan? You got to have a budget and a plan. You have to have it, and you have to be leading to that budget and plan every day. And then the way we tracked it is we had our mini P&L, which we called the profit planner. And every day, team is making sure that they're on point to get to a break-even point, hopefully about halfway into the month. So, we work 2 weeks for the world and 2 weeks for us with the profit. They're tracking that every single day. So you got to know the net math of the business. And that's my 5-step system.
Yeah. Ken, I think that we entrepreneurs became a lot of people in this broadcast have shared similar stories. That in the end of the day, most of us started in business kind of by accident, right? How I started my property business in London, and I have a problem. You see, the rent was too expensive, and I was working in a pub, in London. And you see, when my salary comes, I'm seeing that most of my money is going in rent. So then I rent a house, and then I rent the rooms individually. So I saw the problem for myself. Then I'm not paying rent. Now I have a lot of money after I make my salary, and now I start to help other people to solve the same problem. This is how I end up in business by accident. A lot of over the 500 millionaires we interview in this broadcast. This is kind of the story of a lot of people, right? You actually started kind of by accident, but now we are inside this. Was same like you. I'm starting this. I'm selling. I'm making money. Let me expand a little bit more. But I didn't know even what I was doing. I didn't know what marketing was. I didn't know the technology. The BlackBerry was the hit of the technology and gave me an edge because the email will arrive faster in a BlackBerry than in a normal phone. And I couldn't rent the rooms faster because of these BlackBerries. So imagine the old technology, the edge that I have, right? Was no iPhones or so sophisticated iPhones and things like this. So by the end of the day, I'm same like you talking, have a look at your numbers and the accounts. I'm like, okay, if I have some money left, I should be doing fine until when they had to fight the tax. And the guy told me, look, you need to pay all this huge amount of tax. I'm like, what? Now I landed in, oh my God, how come I had to pay so much tax? That since when I sold that much, this is impossible. And I went to see the accountant, and to take you a long story short, Ken, I had to become an accountant myself. And what happened was that the guy did make a mistake, and he put the deposits as sales. So you're renting a room, you take 1 month deposit, and then you have 1 month of sales, right? But the guy, I'm telling you, an accountancy firm, serious in Canary Wharf in London, no an accountant that you find whatever. So the guy, I don't know, maybe he got the sense that I don't have any clue about accounting and I don't have time to look, and I didn't understand this, and probably he was busy doing the accounting for everyone, that he did my one so fast that he didn't even realize that he put me the deposit at sales. So mine is like he duplicated my sales, and
Yeah, and
it's not
actually,
double sales, right?
and then
So
actually a deposit
let it a
in
hard way,
state
right?
is a liability, right?
So 30 New Year's Eve, everybody celebrating, and I'm sitting doing all the transaction against for the whole business by myself, and to prepare a document to give to the accountant to tell, look, man, this is the number that should be. This is way too much. I cannot pay that. I'll go out of business if I pay this figure that you telling me. So I have to change the accountant, and things have been amazing. But it's you end up in the position that you learn it the hard way, and we don't know. Like for example, Ken, how you decided to become an entrepreneur? Was your dad an entrepreneur? You were trying to help. How you end up in this journey at the very early age, by the way?
So I was enslaved in the family business at years old because my dad was a single repairman. He would moonlight fixing air conditioners, and he said, "I needs help." And so
So that was an entrepreneur.
he was. I was the official flashlight holder. Then I got into
That was your job, flashlight holder. Yeah.
yeah. So that's how I got into it.
How many people
And
were working with your dad apart from you?
just him and I.
Both of you. Okay.
And my mother answered the phone and
Wow,
did the
proper
books.
family business.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, my dad passed away early, and I was 25 years old. And at that point, I said, well, I mean, I know this trade. Thought I knew the business. So I went to my mom and I asked if I could buy the business. And then my mom pulled out a letter from my dad that said, if Ken wants the business, because he knew he was dying, he wrote a letter. If Ken wants the business, do not give him anything. He's to buy it.
Wow.
And go to
What a
this lawyer.
lesson.
Yes, go to this lawyer and get an agreement written up, a promissory note written up, put title to all the tools and equipment that he's going to buy. Here's the payments he should pay. And if he misses one payment, take it back.
Wow. What a lesson.
So, yeah, and I felt hard about it when I read the letter, but I got to tell you.
Now looking back, my goodness, that's the best gift that he can give you.
But the first business, so I struggled. I put the in place. I got this E-Myth book. I studied it. I read it 33 times. I've actually got to meet Michael Gerber 20 years later after I did a lot of this stuff, and I talked to him about my journey, and we spent a little time together. And he said, "You know the E-Myth better than I do." I knew his work and how to apply it better than he did, because all I did was focus on that body of work and built a business, as he said. And it goes just everything I told you, but to build the business as a prototype. You have to build your business like you can duplicate it anywhere else without you, with a management team and running their system, their playbook every single day.
Otherwise, you're creating like a job that maybe this is what your dad have, right? It was a great lifestyle business, if we can call it, but at the end is a job. If you don't literally was trading his time for money, and you have more clients, so that give you a little more extra money to pay your mom and also pay you. But it was he didn't know any better, and at least he give you my are teachers, right? So at least your dad told you buy it, yeah. And if you miss something, you take it away. Yeah. When my dad, my parents, they want me to go to university, so I go to university. I got the degree in chemical engineering. I give them to them. They were very happy that I'm an engineer. I never worked as an engineer in my whole life, and I've been 18 years in business. I still they wonder what I do, and if what I do is safe. And and so I bet that your dad would be so proud of you. But I want to go deeper.
My last company I built and sold, to give you contrast, my first one was my dad and I, employees. The last one I sold was 1,100 employees in
Wow.
4 states.
Wow. Wow. We're talking about big,
Yeah.
huge. Wow. So Ken, how you felt when you went to your mom to say, I want the business that you thought that 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 you are entitled. Number one, you know how to do the job, and number two, and your dad is not there, and we need to bring some money home, right? And on top of that, your dad is making you to pay. So how you feel? What do you thought?
I was upset. I was upset because, he'd pretty much taken my childhood from me because I had to work every day after school, every single weekend, and all summer long.
It was
You know,
preparing you for life, make you
he
who you
was,
become.
he
He knew,
was,
he knew.
and I did. Obviously, you don't see that when it's happening to you, but yeah, he to me for the job that I did in building all these companies. And
100%.
today I believe that
It give you character.
I've helped a lot of people, especially in my industry, and I'm very well known in the HVAC world. But let me this last little bit here. The last business that I bought, and it was called Gettle, Goettl, like metal, Gettle. And I bought Gettle, and the main reason I bought Gettle was because Gettle invented the residential air conditioners in the US. Okay, back in the and the first air conditioner I ever lit up with my flashlight, holding from my dad, was a Gettle. The
Wow.
very
And you're buying the company.
And then my
That's fun.
dad said, "These are the best air conditioners ever made,
Wow.
the best machines ever made." And he became a dealer. So when I was a kid, my dad sold, installed, and Gettle air conditioners. And then when he passed away and I bought the business, I continued on. So we used that product for years. And over the time, they had their own service business and things like that. Well, in 2012, the business was having financial trouble, and I got word of it, and I thought, I have to buy Gettle and save it. It's my destiny. You know,
Wow.
everything that I ever created was from that night holding my flashlight,
Unbelievable.
my
This is
Gettle air
how
conditioner.
life, this is how it
Yeah.
works. And then you
So I
exited
buy,
big time.
I buy Gettle, and it was at that point it was losing. It was doing 11 million in sales and losing 3 million a year.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So
Wow.
I got my team
How
together.
many employees?
Well, when I bought it, there was 100, and then I took it down to 60 to stop the
Very
bleeding,
good. Very good.
and and then I
Mhm.
took my team and they started working on the plan, to get our mentors to build the system, and we know the math of the business, and we went. And so we took that business, 11 million sales, losing three. We immediately stopped the bleeding because I turned around lots of companies using my system because I broke my business so bad I figured it out,
Well,
right?
the first business that you bought that you had to make is your own one from your dad,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah,
the first one that you had to turn around because now you're
and
less people. You're you and your
yeah,
mom. So
and I broke that one fast, and I had to turn it around. So so I bought this thing, the sales losing three, and then I started building upon the system, and I started creating a brand story and really generating the brand to get more leads, and I started growing it. Then I got a branch in Tucson. Then I got a branch in Las Vegas. Then I got a branch in California. Then I got a branch in Texas. And I started building out the infrastructure and the team, just as I've described. And we took the business to 250 million in sales
wow.
in 7 years.
Wow.
And we
Impressive.
exited the business for over a $500 million.
Look at this. Oh my God, your dad should be so happy cheering from you. And but all started what a powerful legacy.
And I
Uh,
and I'm not and I'm not telling this to I want everybody that's listening. I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just trying
absolutely.
to tell you
No. Mm.
I started in a old broken down service van fixing air and worked my way up with finding the right mentors,
Mm-hmm.
finding the right
Mm-hmm.
information, applying
Yeah, because
myself. Learn.
everybody see only the success, yeah. But
Yeah,
how you get there? How you see the route? You need to see the character that the entrepreneur is built, right? Like you said, in you paid a price. Price is you was preparing you for that since you are a kid, since you're 10 years old, since you're holding this light, is preparing you to become who you are, and probably all this angry and upset that you felt when he made you to buy the business, it give you character to handle challenges, huge challenges, in acquiring these companies. But so then the first company that you acquired was actually yours, right? That you actually had to pay and turn around. With the
yeah.
challenge that now you have the main engineer, the person who knows how to do everything, is not there. So now you're short of staff, and the business is not free. You have to pay. So you need to make some sales to get some cash to buy the business first, and after to. So how you fix this one?
How did I fix mine?
Yes,
The
that was the first one that you acquired, your
Oh
own
yeah.
one.
Well,
You didn't
no
pay your
different
mom,
when
right?
I got, yeah, of course, of course. Um, and that was another thing. Remember, I got into the business and I got behind within a year and a half, and I got behind with taxes, which here in the States you can't bankrupt taxes. You have to pay. You owe them
In
forever.
London as well.
And I'm not and I just couldn't bear to tell my mom that I burnt down the family business and I can't pay her the business that's taken care of the family for 25 years. I
Oh my
couldn't
God.
do that. Like, so I had to, I had no choice. I couldn't
Make it
get my
work,
wife to
whatever.
yes, and I couldn't do that to my mom. So I had to go to work and I got the book. And so during the day, I would go out and I would go out, would sell jobs. My two guys would go put them in. People wouldn't even take my checks anymore, because I had struggled. I had to have to go buy materials so they could get the materials and go to work. And then every Friday I had to pay the IRS, the tax people, a little bit of money until I got it out, and I worked my way out. But during the night, I'd come
That's the
home.
hard time, right?
Yeah,
Tough.
at night I would come home, spend time with my kids, my wife, a little bit, and then I would go right into um, starting writing my systems, gathering all the information I could from industry resources, from various business resources, and I kind of self-taught. Then, and then I got through it, and I fixed the business, stabilized it, paid the IRS, and I had a pretty nice business then. And then I started buying the broken ones and adding them to them.
Wow.
Databases. I started adding and growing, growing, growing. And by the time I was 33, I was the market leader in air conditioning in Las Vegas, which is one of the hottest places on earth. So a lot of business.
Oh yeah. So Ken, any secret how acquiring company merchant acquisition is one of the fastest way to grow a business? However, when you acquire a business, when you merge your existing business with the new, have a similar product, or so. What are the key elements that you see and that you evaluate in order to acquire a business, in order to grow the existing business that you have?
So this is a
Nothing
very
can go
important.
wrong. Yeah, if the
This is a
culture,
very
the new
important.
business.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's a very important topic for especially the younger people on this podcast to hear. There is a tremendous opportunity, an unprecedented right now, to go out and find, this. I don't know if you call it this way in the UK, but we call it the a baby boomer generation here, which is, you know, people, in their 60s and better, a huge population that's going to be passing soon enough, and most of those people own businesses. A lot of people, that's where most of the businesses are owned. And a lot of those businesses, they don't have resources to sell them. They don't have a market to sell them. And you can go walk into a goods cash flowing business and start adding some technology to it, add my 5-step plan to it, and start to grow and supercharge that business. And you have a great head start over everybody else. You're not
100%.
greenfielding a business. So I learned that at a very young age. And let me tell you the story how I learned it, if we still have time. So how I learned the value of acquiring a business. So when I first bought the business from my mom, the largest air conditioning company in Las Vegas, Nevada, the owner had passed away. And he was large. He had seven vans on the road. At the time, that was a lot. To give you
Wow.
contrast, we have over 500 now, but on the road.
Wow.
But he had seven. And so I went to the phone. I was driving on the road and I thought, wonder how I could get the phone number to that company so the customers would call me. So I went to the phone company. I said, hey, I'd like to get this phone number. Here's the phone number. And the lady said, well, that's a business number, and we can't give it to you for 1 year. After a business shuts down in the U.S., they give them 1 year to try to pay the bill back and get the number back. And I said, well, he won't be coming up to try to
To
get it
claim
back
for the
because he passed
number.
away, right? He passed away.
Wow.
So she said, okay, well, if you can prove that he passed away, I'll give you the phone number. And I'm like,
Wow.
how do I prove someone passed away? And I was a kid. I was 25. I didn't know. So I ask around. Someone says, you go to the health department and you get a death certificate. So I get the death certificate and it costs $7. So I take the certificate. I drive back over to the phone company. I go, here you go. And she was actually I proved it. She didn't want to give me the number, but whatever. She keyed in her computer and she said, okay, that number is ringing in your office now.
Wow.
So I go to the office. And phone, and she had stepped out for lunch or something, and sometimes she forgot to put it on the answering service. And so the phone was ringing. So I pick up the phone, and a lady said, "Hi, is this Day and Night Air?" Now, that was not my company. That was the one I just got the phone number for, right? It's Day and Night Air. And I said, well, no, unfortunately, John had passed away, and now I've taken over his customers, and I'm here to help. Is there anything I can help you with? And she said, well, I have this quote he gave me a month ago for $7,000. Is it still good?
Absolutely.
I didn't even know what it was, but I'm like, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I said, would you like me to come over and look at the
Right
job
away.
and get a deposit?
What needs to be done? Oh my God, this is the most impressive acquisition I've ever seen.
And so then the phone's ringing all the time.
Oh my
And
God.
that's what kept me afloat. When I got in trouble, I get in trouble right after that. But at least I had those calls coming in and I could
Ken, then
generate.
what happened with the logistics? Because now you need more people and more vans.
Well, we exploded pretty fast and we grew too fast. I didn't have my system in place, and that's how it all
Lesson
fell
number 2.
Yeah. So because of that, I'll bet you I've acquired in my career, over phones of bankrupt companies, failed companies, retired companies. I pay a guy a couple $1,000s for the number. I'll eat a dinner for the number, whatever, and you just pour them into your business. They're valuable. Even today, they're valuable. So
100%.
and then I learned through that, I learned more sophisticated ends and things like that. So I sold the Gettle air conditioning business of 2021, and which I'm still the chairman of the board of. But so I wanted to start a new business. So I wanted to get in the standby power business, the standby generator business, in places where is not 100%.
The product in a big demand now because
Yes,
they were Latin America. They have increased.
right. And so I bought 3. So on January of 2024, I bought 3 small generator companies, 2 in Texas and 1 in Florida, where their hurricanes are. They call it Hurricane Alley, where all the hurricanes go. I bought the 3, and I put my business system team in place, and they started working on the business. And to give you an idea what the results are, we purchased $14 million in revenue. Okay. So if you added what the three companies did year before, it was 14 million. This year, the first year, we did 22 million. We went from 14 to 22. This year, we're pacing 50 million.
My goodness.
With the same three, with the 14 million. So in year 250, because we were able to put the tech in the business, put the leadership in the business, put the charts in the business,
bring the right people, get the branding right.
Direction. Yeah. And we've just been able to supercharge it. And interesting enough,
they're producing this new product, the Kenerator,
Kenerator. Yeah, the Kenerator. They're using the Kenerator.
Yeah.
So and you know what? Another interesting thing I want to get out to the listeners here is I have acquired, I can't tell you, over 200 businesses in my career, for plumbing mostly, but every single time, not sometimes, every single time, the reason why they were struggling, the number one reason is, well, number one is they didn't follow the 5-step system. But number two, they didn't price their work right. They didn't know how to price. That's it. And I would go in, I'd walk in, they'd have a team. I'd walk in with a trash can on wheels, and I'd say, everybody give me your price books. And I'd throw them in the trash day one. And I would give them the new price books. And I'd say, okay, this was the number one challenge of this business, and we have to step it up. We have to charge properly. And I've organized the pricing so we all can make a profit and have opportunity in the future here. And we would change the pricing that quick, and we would have immediate results. Now, most people are afraid to do that. Most people are afraid to raise their prices because they think they'll lose the customers. I've never been afraid to do that because I know the math of the business, and it doesn't make any sense to deny the math. When you do the math and you know what it tells you, what you're supposed to be charging to make a profit, and you charge less, it's all on you. It's on you then.
I learned this one, Ken, in
the math, you'll have confidence to charge the right amount.
I learned this one in the hard way, Ken. I lost this lesson that you just shared. Literally cost me, I think, 1.5 million because when I started my property business, the recession came, and out of the blue, I got this thought. I was renting my rooms. They were not the cheapest one. They were more expensive than the normal price, and they were very good rooms. I painted them. I put nice duvet covers and nice paintings, and they were not the cheapest in the market. But the recession, 2008, 2007 hit, and because of fear, I thought that I'm thinking, well, if everybody's losing their job, let me reduce the price of the rooms, so people can afford more, and I can sell my rooms, and I can navigate this recession challenge. What a huge mistake, painful, learning the hard way this lesson, because guess what happened? All the good clients that I have, okay, they decided that if the room they were less, they're gonna start to pay less. But because it was sharing accommodation, the new client that arrived, because they're paying cheap, now that I start to attract the clients that didn't care at all the place they live. They care if they were clean and they were dirty, because they're paying the cheapest. Whether someone that is paying the premium, right, is happy to pay an extra because he wants a certain standard of quality. They want to live in a clean house. They want to live in a house like that. So
yeah, let me
and it didn't solve the problem. The problem gets worse. That's why I'm telling you. It cost me literally 1.5 million. My line of thought, because in the end of the day, I decline of all the people that they were good clients that were paying premium all left, and I end up with the worst range of clients. And the problem still continues because the same rooms that I have empty with my premiums still remain with the other clients, because the problem was not that. The problem was my ability to bring more clients and lowering the prices. It didn't solve that problem, actually make it even worse. So I have a, now I'm talking to you, I'm laughing about it, but it was understand. I didn't understand what's happened. I was in mess that I brought myself for free. And I didn't even, it was like a hurricane. I didn't even know how to get out of this. I'm saying, I don't understand that. It's cheaper. How come I still have rooms empty? And I got the worst people. Now they don't want to pay. They're paying late. They don't care. Now they don't want to clean the house. So pricing can, big topic, right?
Oh, hey, I created a system for my team years ago, and I call it branch right. And me, because I was running these businesses by multiple branches, and I said, this is how we're going to assess the branch. And the first thing the first question is asked is, are we priced right? Number one. By the way, go back to the E-Myth book and Michael Gerber. I met him 20 years later, and I actually co-authored a book with him after that called the E-Myth HVAC Contractor, the E-Myth HVAC Contractor. And now I'm working on the E-Myth with Michael Gerber. Mm-hmm. And, I talk about many things that I talked about today, but my journey and how I applied his teachings to a service business. But one thing I said is, you have to be the premium provider of whatever you do. You have to be in the premium range. You have to be premium priced so that you can create enough cash flow to hire the best people, to
100%.
have enough money to create leads to keep the business rolling, to buy the right equipment. You have to be. We're not, I don't know if you have Walmart there, but we're not big enough to play Walmart, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What in London call it Asda. They own, it's owned by Walmart, is my understanding.
Oh, okay.
But a big lesson, painful one that I have experienced. So then, Ken, what was your experience with pricing? This conversation is so amazing that we can be here talking for hours. But when you realize that price, how to communicate the value effectively and how to be in the premium range, or whatever company you acquire, it doesn't matter if it's not making money or is losing money, or even I think that even this air conditioner company that you purchased, right, that your dad lent in, I think they were good quality, but probably they were not the most expensive one.
Look,
and you make it. I bet that you make it so premium, that thing, that we're paying more for these machines, right? That ever, right?
Yeah.
With this story,
the first day I doubled the price. I walked in the first day and I doubled it 2 times, and then
the
from
first
there,
day,
first day.
Wow.
And from even and I always constantly, because I know the math of the business, and it doesn't make any sense. And I just tell the team, look,
you cannot do branding, you cannot do advertising, you cannot do anything if you don't.
Yeah.
And it's a good quality. It's already, your dad say, you see, it's a product forever. People know that is good. So this is what I learned is that the people that buy on price, it doesn't care about your product. You see, if you care about running shoes, you pay $150 for a Nike shoes. Running, you go to Walmart and you buy a pair of training for $20. That's the end. If it's important for you, you pay the premium. If it's not important for you, you don't care, then you pay cheap. So what kind of clients do you want? Do you want people that care about your product, or you want people that don't care?
I call it, there's 2 types of clients. There's relational clients and there's transactional clients. Mm-hmm. Away from the transactional clients. They don't care. Mm-hmm. They don't care about quality. They don't care about service. All they care about is price. Yeah. And they're always the most unhappy and difficult
They will
customers.
ask you for discount. And also in my research, can I find out that it's only 20% of the population. 80% of the population never buy the cheapest thing. Look the cars that everybody drive. Look that everybody wears. So on top of that you're selling cheap, you are reducing your market cap because only 20% of people on price, and those otherwise everybody will be driving the cheapest car, right? And everybody will wearing the cheapest watch, and everybody, you know what I mean? So yet I make a mistake, you make a mistake, and we all did at the beginning. Why?
You need to you go out to hunt for customers. You hunt for customers who are looking for quality service first and looking to build a relationship, a long-term relationship time of you doing good work and you helping them with whatever product or service that you're delivering to them. I mean, if you want to know, everyone has a perception that Amazon is the cheapest thing around. It may be for some reason because it doesn't have a lot of cost. But when you look at their financial statements because they're a public company, they're making lots and lots of money. They're clearly not the cheapest. So you cannot be
with
the
those
cheapest.
numbers, you cannot be the cheaper.
Yeah. And so customers who value your service, and they just want to make sure that you deliver and you're there. That's the number one thing to do, and you honor that promise and charge the appropriate price. That's all there is to it. Stay away from the cheapies.
So Ken, if someone is in this conversation, how people can find you, how this process works, where they can buy your books that you're writing, how they can attend this webinar that you just mentioned. Can you a little bit of that?
Well, I have a website, and it's kengoodrich.com. And so you can go to that, and there's a link to book an appointment with me. There's a link to buy the book, things like that. I'm accessible on LinkedIn. You can always find me there if you want to chat. But I talk to people all over the world from time to time, and share some knowledge. By the way, one little bit I want to add is when you get into your industry, the one thing that I've done, and it really wasn't on purpose, it was because I was always seeking answers, but it turned out to be such a valuable thing. I want to mention it is you need to network in your industry. You need to go to the conventions specific to your industry. You need to go to the trade associations. You need to go to the annual conventions and things like that. Stay away from the general business seminars where it's just general business, where they're talking about very broad concepts. Go to the business that talks specifically about yours, where they say a job needs to yield a minimum of 67% gross margin, where they tell you that level specific, not
if you don't have those numbers, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Not just, well, you got to mark up your cost, Follow me?
Yeah, exactly, because the industry have their own specification, and regardless that business, that the other thing, Ken, that we have was coaching them and help them out. The one that said, okay, let me have a look. They told me, Harry, you don't understand. My business is different. And the more the more that we see is like there is 80% of business. It's a common concept, is this for everyone. There is the other 20% is that specific, that you need to find that specific terms in the industry. But some in the journey of 0 to 1, some get good mentorship and good coaching could be a very good solution if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to be coachable. You were talking at the beginning about the ego, and we all have ego, because otherwise we won't be an entrepreneur. We always think that we can do better. However, this story that you share, where you were often speaking with all the guys, and they were even more happy to see you because they knew that you were listening and you were learning from them, you were excited about learning, and they were more excited to share their experience with you. Uh, we need this. We need more of this now in the new generation, where sometimes young kid goes and they're going in business, and they think because they have Google and Apple the phone, the AI or the whatever, uh, this is not gonna cut it. When being an entrepreneur is a skill, the more you practice, the better you become, and years of experience and the setback, I don't think, Ken, that any AI or we can help them out. So what is your last message for the young generation? We want to, like I said, we are in a space in our life now that we are blessed that we can help young entrepreneurs to start a business, to grow a business, to give them some knowledge of experience, basically from our failures. Look, I can give you about pricing because I I lost so much money. I make a huge mistake that I had to get very good at it, and I find out everything about that thing because I paid the high way. However, so what message do you have for the young generation out there that they don't take mentors and coaches seriously, and they go there, and if they want a mentor, they don't want Ken. They go to Facebook, they find someone with a big mansion or Ferrari, and they say, "Oh, this is my coach. I want that one." Then they charge a lot of money. They speak a lot of generality, like you talk about. They don't get the value, and now they don't believe in coaching anymore, and they say, okay, coaching and mentorship doesn't work. So what message do you have for the young generation about
Well,
this?
stay away from the Facebook business coaches. Number one, stay away from that because
For the
those are,
coaches with the Lamborghinis and the swimming pool and
yeah,
the
they just,
mansions, and lots of
yeah,
them, right?
they don't give you anything practical to apply. But it's interesting that how you pose this question, because I was just talking to a guy the other day. He was 25 years old, and I was literally having this very discussion with him, trying to tell him you should own your own business. Do not get a job. You should go and bet into home services because here in the States, you have all the information very easy to assemble. You should follow my plan. You should create your plan. Your primary aim should be to sell it $1 billion in this time frame, and you build that. That's what you should be doing right now. And the guy says, to your point, he said this term, very sentence. He said, our generation don't really trust, these business experts and any experts that talk about things. And I said, well, yeah, because all these frauds on Facebook. You know, think about the my 5 steps. That is real world
Common sense, yeah.
common, go do this result stuff. It's not lofty,
China and
it's very
probably
specific. You have to get the specific knowledge. So I would say this: when I was younger, and even today, if I find anybody I talk to, and I'm always very interested in business, and then we get on that topic, and if I find that they could add value, I ask them advice. I'm telling you, people feel good when you ask them advice. They feel valued. They have value, and so I just ask them advice, and all kinds of topics. Tell me how your business works. How do you do this? How do you do that? And when I was younger, my wife she'd always get a little mad. She goes, how come every place we go, you ask everybody advice? You're so smart and you already know the answer. Why do you ask them? And I said, well, if I know the answer, I'm just gaining a contact that I can have a resource with later, number one. And number two, I always learn something. It doesn't matter
100%.
who I talk to. I've already learned a couple things from Harry. And
Oh, I'm learning a lot from you. These
and
these
and I and so just you cannot be afraid. I talk to everybody. I go to the conventions. I make a plan. Here's who I'm going to talk to. Here's what I'm going to accomplish. Here's the information I'm going to get before I leave. And it's not about hanging out at the bar at night. I'm there. to sharpen my
Focus.
saw so I can come back and go faster. That's why I make sure that anybody who has any sort of experience that I can learn from, I start talking to them and develop a mentor network. I don't have one mentor, I have three.
Successful
And
people have several. Yeah.
yeah,
Then can the and all started how you really start this broadcast with your first step, where you said, when you mentioned get clarity, what do you really want? Okay.
primary
Because
aim.
I think, yeah, what do you really want? Because I think they see this mentor in Facebook with the Lamborghini, they think like this, and maybe they think that this is what they want, a big house and a Lamborghini. In this broadcast, we see several entrepreneurs that make million, bought the Lamborghini, bought the big house, and they they lost it because they didn't want that, and they feel so empty after they achieve everything. They run the decision, the business, they lost all the money, and end up in the couch of the mom. The entrepreneurs in this broadcast have shared this story. So if you don't have clarity, what do you want and how do you want it, that will also help you to find a mentor that align with what do you want, that have feet on the ground, that had done it, that is, I don't know, it worth more the experience and the knowledge that actually the shiny objects. Because if you look at the shiny objects in business, then you're gonna find a mentor with the shiny objects. And in business, if this is your end goal, you're not gonna go you're not gonna go far, because you do need to uh, deliver value and care about your customers. And especially if you go to the premium line, where you have to do a lot of customer services, customer appreciation, and branding, and so on. Then and maybe one of the reasons that we have this failure, high rating failure in business, where now it's more easy than any before. Can now you take AI? You when I started my business, English is not my first language, and I had to write a letter to a lawyer. It can take me a week. I had to write it in my own language. Then next day I had to translate it in English. Then 2 days chasing my friend that knows English, how to read it, to then correct my mistakes. Then I had to write it again. It will take me a week. Today can be done in a minute with the AI and everything. So they have no
But
excuse.
that moxie, the moxie that you go through that process to get one letter out, that's successful. That is the key ingredient. But
Mm.
for everybody listening, go, you know, never stop learning. I'm a consummate industry learner. I don't know everything, and I'm learning every single day, and I'm always seeking out more and more and more knowledge. I try to make sure that I read something on business every single day, at least 15 to 30
Wow,
minutes,
very
just to
impressive.
keep my saw sharpened. And by the way, I'll tell you this quick story.
Great book, Stephen Covey. Yeah,
I
this one.
when I was going to college, and I never, by the way, started my finishing business, but when I was going to, I was in a speaking class, public speaking class, and that day that I was having a speech to do my speech, the dean of the business college was sitting in the that class. So anyway, I get up and I say, I'm going to be an investor, and my investment is I'm going to buy and sell businesses, right?
Wow.
And
How old were you when you said this?
it was when I bought my family business. I was 25.
Mm-hmm.
The business, I was still in
Mm.
school, and I said I'm going to buy businesses, right? Because I had just bought one.
Yeah.
And Dean interrupts me and says, "Well, that's not really a business. That's that's not really a thing. Pick something that's like a real go get a job." I'm like, I'm never
Wow.
that's a I want as a job. And he said, "Well, what you're talking about doesn't exist. I don't think you're going to make any money at it."
Wow.
And I've bought and sold 6 companies, hundreds of millions of dollars in results, and my whole team have become wealthy from it. All of my
Glad.
employees have been I've shared in the wealth, and I think I've created a really great business community with all the results. Now, by the way, I'm not trying to act like I did it for them. I learned the skill of how I learned the skill to be able to spot talent, inspire
Mhm.
them to implement my vision.
The whole secret is to bring better people than you to the business. Candy, to my property business, reach a point that one day I arrived to the office and the employee told me, Harry, go home, travel the world if you want. We don't need you here anymore. I'm like, what? You don't need paper in the photocopy? He said, no, we can get our own paper in the photocopy. Don't come here. You talk to us. You don't let us work. So,
One time I
yeah.
was at a barbecue back in 2008. I was at a barbecue in California, and I start talking to him, and you know, start talking about business, of course. And he was retiring from a company they'd been with for like 30 years, which was,
Oh, wow.
I guess you out there you call them lifts, but it was elevators. So and he was a senior vice president. He ran a $500 million at that time in revenue, and he was a Harvard MBA. So he was had a great pedigree, right?
Mhm.
So, and here I got this air conditioning and plumbing business, right? And I'm thinking, I'm going to recruit this guy. I'm going to see, I didn't really have a role for him, but like, I'm going to get a guy of this caliber on my team and see what happens, right? And so I said, you don't want what? I said, well, what are you going to do? He goes, oh, I'll go get a president's job running a little company or something, or I'll run another company as a
Mhm.
president or CEO. I said, you don't want to do that. You want to be in air conditioning and plumbing. That's where all the money is, right? And he kind of snickered at me, but I shared with him some of these stories that I'm sharing with you on how I've been buying and selling the businesses. And I said, look, if you come with me and show me what you know, then I will give you the greatest gift that I've given you in business. And he says, what's that? And I go, I'm going to teach you how to have your own small
Mhm.
business.
Mhm.
And you, what I've been doing, buying and selling them, because you can do it in your sleep. You just don't know some of
Mhm. The mechanics.
the
Yeah.
tactics. And he goes, deal. I'm like,
Wow,
right.
what a wonderful way to attract talent to the organization. Yeah.
And I got to tell you, that guy came in and he opened up a
He killed it.
whole
Yeah.
world for me. It was good.
Yeah.
And so as soon as we
And you
finished the
for him.
project,
And you
yeah,
for him.
and we finished the project, we sold the business. I found a company for him. I coached him in buying it. He bought the business. He scaled it up and he sold it for $80 million 10
Wow.
years.
Very impressive. That's
And
good.
he never would
How
have
about
made that in the
how
corporate
about
world.
that for a new job? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Ken, that has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And for all of you following the broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like can break the wall and achieve the first million and more than that. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.